Hello everyone, my name is Emily Calvin and I'm a Florida licensed attorney. I have been getting some new followers on here lately, so I just wanted to take a few minutes to introduce myself to anyone who may not already know me. I received my license to practice law in Florida in 2017, and I have spent the majority of my practice since then handling family cases, divorces, paternity, and custody for the most part. I spent my first 7.5 years as an attorney working in legal aid, and I just recently entered private practice last month. For anyone unfamiliar with the terminology, legal aid organizations in the U.S. are generally nonprofit law firms who offer free legal assistance to historically underrepresented populations in a variety of civil legal issues like housing, family law, and consumer protection, to name a few. As a legal aid attorney, I started off working exclusively on civil restraining orders for domestic violence and abuse survivors, or what we call in Florida, injunctions for protection. I quickly started to realize how so many of the survivors I was representing in injunction court also had corresponding family cases that would absolutely impact their injunctions moving forward. And that inspired me to broaden my horizons of practice to include divorces and custody and other kind of related family matters as well. One of the biggest struggles I found in legal aid work was working with or litigating against private attorneys on the other side of a case, simply based on what I saw as a stark contrast in approaches to the practice of law between legal aid attorneys and private attorneys, at least in civil and family cases that I am seeing. I am not here to cast aspersions on any other attorneys, but I do think it's important to note that there are differences because having a legal aid foundation of practice has absolutely had a huge impact on my approach to private practice now. When I worked in legal aid, I was given the opportunity to present on trauma-informed services and empowerment-based advocacy as it related to working with clients who have experienced domestic violence, abuse, or some other form of trauma. I honestly think it is safe to assume that almost everyone who comes to me as an attorney, whether in legal aid or private practice with a family case that they need legal assistance with, has experienced trauma before they arrived at my office. I would assert that going through a divorce or custody case is absolutely in and of itself trauma. What that means is that in order for attorneys to provide competent representation, which is required by the Florida Bar rules, I would say we have to be trauma informed, or as I prefer to call it, trauma responsive, because it's really about recognizing the signs of trauma and knowing how to respond to them in order to successfully navigate things like attorney-client relationships and develop a dynamic of trust and collaboration, which I think is important to representation. Before I became an attorney, I was a domestic violence advocate for a while, and then I eventually worked as a trainer for other domestic violence advocates, child welfare professionals, and community partners across the state of Florida. I absolutely carry what I learned as a domestic violence advocate and trainer into my approach as an attorney, since one of the big roles that attorneys play is absolutely to be an advocate for your client. I recently came across this quote that I had put in an old presentation and then forgotten about. I was really excited to rediscover this, and I'd like to end with that quote now. I don't know who said it or where I found it, unfortunately. I don't know why, but I didn't include a citation in my old presentation, and I couldn't find it when I just tried searching for it. So if anyone does know who said this or where this came from, please let me know in the comments so that I can add a proper credit to this post. The quote is this: "As advocates, we have chosen the role of articulating the needs of the survivor to the system, not the other way around."